The Finance Minister will present a third budget so far this year, hoping to get buy-in from GNU partners. Government will have to find ways to increase revenue after failing to raise the VAT rate. Economists say it's unlikely government will look towards a wealth tax or corporate income tax, but rather more towards an increase in the fuel levy and bolstering tax collection by SARS. Borrowing is also unlikely, as this would push up public debt and debt servicing costs and may not be looked at favorably by rating agencies.
The government only has three options. It can try to raise taxes from other sources, either through indirect taxes, company tax, or higher taxes on individuals. So that's the revenue side. It can cut expenditure, which would be my preference because there's a lot of wasteful expenditure in government finances. And then lastly, it can simply borrow extra money on the capital market and plug the gap through extra borrowing, which in itself is also problematic because South Africa's government debt as percentage of GDP is already over 76%. And at the same time, the interest burden on government debt amounts to more than R1 billion a day.
Experts say individuals are already overburdened with tax, and South Africa's corporate income tax is also high, adding that the most viable option is to cut expenditure.
VAT increases were rejected and significant income tax hikes are likely to follow the same path, and National Treasury has instead indicated the need to cut expenditure. Corporate tax increases are not favoured either, given the detrimental impact on growth and employment, while customs and excise hikes are another tax on consumption, although moderate sin tax increases are tolerated and will likely occur. An increase in the fuel levy is therefore likely to be used to cover part of the funding gap, while National Treasury also recognises the need to bolster tax collections at SARS and has increased. The bottom line is that the tax take will rise as a consequence of not giving relief for bracket creep.
Others say strengthening SARS systems could see the revenue agency collecting more without raising taxes further.
There's a lot that can be done to increase collections. Not so much so from like an increase in the percentage or increasing in rates. I think that was projected to bring in around 30 billion or so in the medium term. But rather, like I say, looking at the issue of compliance. What we've seen in countries all over the world is they're essentially modernizing their VAT collection systems, moving away from how they currently go about making businesses report on their VAT and pay their VAT as well. And South Africa, and what's good to be seeing is South Africa does seem to be going into these steps as well. In terms of what their actual plans exactly are, that's still to be determined. But really, if we can adopt those same systems where we are imposing e-invoicing, real-time VAT reporting, the government has a lot more insight into what's actually going on with regards to all transactions in South Africa. It makes it a lot more difficult for things like fraud, like VAT, inflating your VAT inputs, stuff like that, to actually take place. And as a result, what we've seen in countries overseas is there's been significant boosts in their VAT revenue as a result.
The experts say the answer to their country's revenue woes is higher economic growth, as the current low economic growth situation translates to narrower tax base and with less revenue collected relative to potential. The IMF expects the local economy to grow at 1% this year. The National Treasury will likely revise downwards its March forecast of 1.9%, given the unfavorable global environment. Gloria Sefakomusi, SABC News, Johannesburg.